The economic reality today is harsher than it has been in generations. Many adults are staying at home not because they want to, but because the financial conditions outside their front doors are unforgiving. The cost of housing has soared in cities across the globe, making it nearly impossible for someone starting out to rent their own place, let alone buy property. With rent prices absorbing the majority of entry-level or even mid-level salaries, young adults are choosing practicality over pride by remaining in the family home. This isn't a matter of laziness or lack of ambition. It's a numbers game. If you're earning $2,000 a month and the average rent in your area is $1,500, how are you supposed to survive, let alone save? Utility bills, groceries, transportation, and insurance don't stop for anyone. Staying at home becomes the only logical way to avoid debt or homelessness. For many, it's a temporary shelter from economic storms they didn't create but are forced to endure. Jobs that once supported independence no longer do. Entry-level positions pay barely enough to cover living costs, and climbing the corporate ladder is a much slower process today. This creates a frustrating paradox for young adults. They can't gain independence without experience, and they can't get experience without opportunity. Staying at home buys them time, but it also delays critical milestones of adulthood. For parents, this creates a dilemma too. They want to support their children, but they also want to see them thrive and move forward. However, when the economy is structured in a way that punishes youth and rewards established wealth, even the most well-prepared young person may find themselves stuck. The security of home becomes less about comfort and more about survival in a broken system. On a broader level, this phenomenon raises serious questions about how we've structured our society. The promise of education, hard work, and determination leading to a stable life is no longer holding true for many. It forces us to ask, are we preparing people for a future that doesn't exist anymore? Are we clinging to outdated definitions of success and independence? At the same time, we need to acknowledge the toll this takes on mental and emotional well-being. Adults living at home often feel shame, guilt, or frustration. They want to contribute, to stand on their own, but the system keeps pushing them back. That emotional weight can be just as heavy as any financial burden, and it's rarely talked about openly. Ultimately, the decision to live at home should not be judged at face value. It should be viewed within the context of an economic landscape that has failed to evolve with its people. It's not a failure of the individual, but a reflection of a system that no longer works the way it once did. Until we address those structural issues, we can't expect the trend to change anytime soon. You said, student loan debt is crushing. To expand it into 7 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without headings. ChatGPT said, student loan debt has become one of the most overwhelming financial burdens facing young adults today. Many leave college with tens of thousands of dollars in debt, some even reaching 6 figures without the promise of a stable, high-paying job to match. This debt doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It collects interest, adds stress, and influences every major life decision from the moment graduation caps hit the ground. It's not just a financial weight. It's a mental and emotional one as well. Unlike other forms of debt, student loans often cannot be discharged in bankruptcy, meaning that once someone takes them on, they're bound to them for decades. This long-term obligation makes it difficult for many adults to even consider moving out of their parents' home. With monthly payments that can rival a mortgage, living independently becomes a luxury, not a given. It's not that these individuals are irresponsible. It's that the system they trusted has boxed them in. Many young adults believed that going to college was the key to a better future. They followed the advice of counselors, parents, and society at large, trusting that education would unlock doors. Instead, many found that those doors opened into a job market with limited opportunities and salaries that don't reflect the cost of their education. The result is a generation that feels betrayed and stuck, trying to keep their heads above water while being pulled down by a loan they were told would set them free. This debt also delays the pursuit of dreams and life milestones. Buying a home, starting a family, or even moving to a different city often has to wait. People are putting off marriage, avoiding credit cards, and skipping out on savings plans because they simply cannot afford to do anything but pay back their loans. Living at home isn't about dependence, it's about damage control. It's a strategy for survival in a game that feels rigged. Parents, too, feel the impact. Many took out Parent Plus loans or signed private loans to help their children go to school. When those children return home after graduation, it can strain family dynamics. Expectations collide with reality, and resentment can grow on both sides. But most parents also understand that their kids aren't failing. They're caught in a financial trap that millions have fallen into through no fault of their own. The emotional toll of student loan debt is severe. Constant financial anxiety can lead to depression, decreased motivation, and a sense of hopelessness. When a person works hard, earns a degree, and still can't afford to live on their own, it begins to wear down their sense of self-worth. These internal struggles often go unnoticed because debt is so normalized in our culture, but the damage is very real. Until real reform takes place and education becomes affordable without mortgaging the future, the cycle will continue. Student loan debt is not just a personal problem, it's a national crisis that demands attention and change. It's not surprising that so many adults are still living at home when the cost of trying to do better in life ends up costing them their independence. You said the job market isn't what it used to be. To expand it into 7 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without headings. ChatGPT said, the job market today looks vastly different than it did for previous generations. Where a college degree once guaranteed a stable job with upward mobility, now it often leads to underemployment or work in fields unrelated to one's area of study. Many graduates are taking jobs just to make ends meet, even if those jobs don't match their skills, passions, or long-term goals. This mismatch between education and opportunity is a major reason why so many adults continue to live at home. What once was a clear path from education to employment is now a maze filled with roadblocks. Employers are asking for years of experience for entry-level jobs. Internships are often unpaid, and even getting a foot in the door can take dozens or hundreds of applications. This kind of environment makes it difficult to build momentum early in a career. Without stable income or job security, moving out becomes a gamble few can afford to take. Part-time jobs, gig work, and freelancing have become the new norm for many. While these roles offer flexibility, they often lack benefits, steady hours, or long-term growth. People working multiple jobs to get by are too stretched thin to focus on building their futures. Living at home becomes not just a fallback, but a necessary support system to help them survive while they navigate unstable employment options. The pandemic intensified these job market struggles, closing down entire industries and permanently altering others. Hospitality, retail, and entry-level office jobs were hit hard. Even as the economy rebounds, many of those roles have disappeared or changed in ways that make them less accessible. The effects of this disruption are still being felt, especially by young adults who entered the workforce during this chaotic time. Globalization and automation have also shifted the kinds of jobs available. Manufacturing, once a source of stable income for many, has declined sharply. In its place are technology, based roles that often require specialized training and credentials. For those without access to that training, their options are limited. The result is a wider gap between job seekers and the jobs that are actually hiring. Older generations often wonder why today's young people aren't following the same timelines they did, but the truth is the world has changed dramatically. The job market doesn't offer the same security, salaries, or opportunities. It's not about lack of drive, it's about the reality of a system that no longer supports the traditional path to independence. Until the job market evolves to match the skill sets and needs of today's adults, and until wages reflect the true cost of living, staying at home may continue to be the most practical option for many. It's not a lack of ambition, it's a sign that the system itself needs to catch up with the people it's supposed to support. You said, delayed adulthood is a real thing too expanded into 7 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without headings. ChatGPT said, delayed adulthood is becoming more and more visible in today's society. Many young adults are taking longer to move out, start families, or take on full independence. This delay isn't just about money, though that plays a part. It's also deeply rooted in psychological and emotional development. Some individuals are struggling to feel ready for the responsibilities that come with adulthood, and rather than leaping into the unknown, they choose to stay in the safety and familiarity of home. This hesitation to step into adult roles often stems from fear, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, and fear of not having what it takes to survive on their own. The world outside the home can seem overwhelming, especially when it feels like there's no room for mistakes. Living at home provides a buffer, a place to regroup and delay making those big life choices that come with risk and consequences. Childhood today extends well into the 20s and even 30s for many. It's not uncommon to see adults still being financially supported by their parents or relying on them for daily needs. In some cases, they are emotionally dependent as well, unsure of how to cope with life without constant guidance. This dependency can create a cycle where the longer they stay, the harder it becomes to leave, which only deepens the fear of independence. The rise of technology and digital entertainment has also contributed to this delay. Video games, social media, and endless content offer a form of escapism that can make real-world progress seem less urgent or even unnecessary. It's easy to feel productive or connected online, even when real-life goals are being neglected. The virtual world can feel safer and more controllable than the uncertain path of adult life. Another factor is the lack of real-life preparation. Schools often fail to teach basic life skills like budgeting, problem solving, and emotional resilience. Without those tools, many young adults feel lost when it comes time to make adult decisions. They weren't taught how to handle stress, make tough choices, or deal with failure, so they avoid it altogether by remaining in a space where those pressures are minimized. Family dynamics play a big role too. Some parents, out of love and concern, unintentionally enable this prolonged adolescence by not encouraging their children to take responsibility. They may do everything for them, cook, clean, pay bills, thinking they're helping when in fact they're delaying their growth. Without pressure to grow, many simply won't, because the challenge of stepping out seems greater than the comfort of staying in. Ultimately, delayed adulthood is not just about individual behavior, it's about a society that has shifted its expectations without providing the structure to support those changes. The path to independence is more complex now than it was before. Instead of shaming those who are slow to launch, we need to look at the full picture, understand the emotional and systemic barriers, and help create a path forward that's both realistic and empowering. You said cultural shifts encourage it to expand it into 7 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without headings. ChatGPT said, cultural shifts are playing a significant role in the rise of adults living at home. In many parts of the world, especially in Asian, African, and Southern European cultures, multi-generational living has always been normal. Children often stay with their parents until marriage, and even afterward in some cases. This way of life isn't seen as a failure to launch, but rather as a sign of close family bonds and shared responsibilities. As these cultural norms blend into Western society, the stigma around staying home longer is beginning to fade. Immigration and global mobility have also introduced these multi-generational living patterns to new regions. Families coming from cultures where cohabitation is common bring their values with them, reshaping the landscape of how adulthood is defined. In many of these households, contributing to the family while living under the same roof is encouraged and even expected. It's not about dependence, it's about unity and support. In today's economy, those traditional values are proving useful. More families are embracing the idea of sticking together to share resources and reduce costs, rather than each individual struggling to pay rent, buy groceries, and manage bills alone. Pooling together as a family makes economic sense. This approach has helped normalize the idea that adults living with parents is not only acceptable, but, in some cases, wise and strategic. Even within Western cultures, there's been a growing recognition that the old model of independence at 18 or 21 may no longer apply. Many families are rethinking what it means to succeed. It's no longer just about moving out as soon as possible. It's about being emotionally and financially prepared to do so. That shift is helping reduce the shame and pressure that many young adults feel when they're unable to leave home on a traditional timeline. This cultural evolution is also influencing how adulthood is measured. Success is now being viewed less in terms of moving out and more in terms of overall stability, well-being, and contribution to the household. Some adults who live at home work full-time, help with expenses, and take care of aging parents. They are independent in many ways, just not in the conventional sense. These new definitions of adulthood reflect changing priorities in a world where flexibility and support are more valuable than strict timelines. At the same time, this shift does come with challenges. Cultural expectations can sometimes blur the line between support and dependency. In some families, staying home too long without contributing or taking initiative can create tension. Parents may feel burdened, and adult children may feel stuck. Balancing cultural values with personal growth is essential to ensure that the arrangement benefits everyone involved. As society continues to evolve, so will our understanding of what it means to grow up. Cultural traditions that emphasize family and togetherness can be a strength, especially in uncertain times. But it's important that this closeness doesn't come at the expense of personal development. With open communication and mutual respect, multi-generational living can be a powerful model that offers both support and growth.